This is the time of 1973. In the forest of trees, we see a research team, which was led by a lady named Cassandra Webb. Despite being pregnant with Constance, she came here in search of a kind of spider whose health, according to her research, was magical for humans. Apart from treating the biggest disease of any human, it also had the power to make a person much more powerful. With the help of this spider, she wanted to find a cure for these diseases of people whose treatment is still not possible. She tells Sims that it is believed that in the forests of these trees, there were such people who were 100 times more powerful than ordinary humans, their speed and other superpowers. And all these superpowers were given to them by these spiders. Sims did not believe her words at all. That's why he left pregnant Constance in the forest and came back to the camp where he gets Constance's notes. The information written on these notes had already told him the truth, that Constance was telling the truth. He takes pictures of all the notes of Constance. And before he goes after Constance, Constance comes here screaming with great joy because her search was over. She had found that spider whose poison could kill anyone. She was going to see her happiness. She was excited to see her team members. The spider was showing that Sims was shooting 2 of his team members. Constance could not understand why Sims did this. Then Sims comes in front of her and says, "Hand over this charge to me. This spider is only mine and only I will use it." He thought he was trying to take away the spider charge from Constance. In this whole fight, the gun in Sims's hand was chosen by which Constance was now injured. This selfish man, Sims, does not even think that Constance is injured and pregnant. He just takes the spider charge from her hand and leaves her alone to die. Constance was about to die. And at this time, to save Constance's life, the same tribe people enter whose story Constance was telling Sims. She had taken Constance and taken her to a pond in a cave. Here she wanted to cut a spider and treat it. But Constance's condition was getting worse because now the time had come when she gave birth to her child. Constance has a daughter at this time whose name is Casey. After Casey's birth, Constance's condition had worsened even more. At this time, the leader of the tribe who is currently treating Constance promises her that whenever she comes back here with her questions, I will wait for her. Scenes now cut from here, and we are shown the present where Casey has grown up and she works as a paramedic. It is her job to treat these people in an emergency. In this emergency van, her colleague Ben invites Casey to his brother and his wife's baby shower, for which Casey had agreed. After getting off duty, Casey comes to her house, and like every day, she takes out her mum's suitcase from under her bed and starts looking at her things. She was looking at her research notes when she saw that she was called for Ben's emergency. There was a very bad accident near the bridge in the city. A car was lying half below the bridge in which a man was stuck. Casey went inside the car and saved the man's life with the help of Ben. But unfortunately, she herself was locked in the car, and as soon as the car was disbalanced, she fell into the water. As soon as she went into the water, her eyes were open. She had never seen so many shiny web of life before. This web of life shows Casey her future. Casey had already seen what was going to happen to her in the next moment. Before she could react, her eyes suddenly opened, and she saw that she had come out of the water. It was Ben rescuing her, who was telling her to stay in the water for 3 minutes. Now he checks Casey and sees that Casey's oxygen level has increased from 79 to 89. This thing is repeated once again, and Casey asks Ben, "You just checked my oxygen level, but I was doing all this for the first time." And before that, Casey had seen all this in his mind. Casey thought it was all his illusion, and that's why she left. After the scene cut, we now see Sims. Sims has become a very rich man, and he has brought a security lady to his house. After spending some time here, they go to sleep, and while sleeping, Sims has a dream. He sees 3 girls in spider suits fighting to take his spider, and while doing this, they kill him. After seeing this dream, Sims got scared and got up. Actually, the spider was still with him. Because Sims had cut himself from the spider, the superpower to see the future had come to Sims. Every night, Sims knew about his future and how the 3 girls would come and kill him. That's why Sims wants to kill those 3 girls before the day comes. In this situation, he has a lady from the security agency with him. He cheats her and asks her the code of his new software with which any person could be found through her face. As soon as the code is found, he holds her hand and injects poison into her body and kills her. We see how Ben came home today. He was sharing a baby shower here, and everyone was kissing the baby gender. At that time, a girl suddenly says, "Let's kiss the baby's gender." After hearing this, Casey says, "We just did this." After kissing, everyone felt weird. That means this time too, she had already seen the coming moment. Before she could understand anything here, Ben calls her for an emergency and takes her away. In the emergency, she sees that her co-worker has met with an accident for which she was trying to save her life. But the next moment, she sees her co-worker going towards the truck. She tries to stop him, but the co-worker gets into the truck. As soon as the moment passes, her truck has met with an accident, and she dies just like Casey had seen a few moments ago. After this incident, Casey understands that she is not hallucinating, but she is able to see the future for some reason. Casey has already seen those moments which are going to happen after a while. Since his Dr. Sims is shown the security software which was hacked by his hacker. With the help of this security software, he gets access to every security camera in New York. And with the help of these hackers, he also gets the pictures of these 3 girls which used to come in his dreams every day. Seeing the age of these girls, Sims had understood that these girls are still young and they did not get their powers. Sims thought that they should be killed before they get their powers, so that after getting their powers, it would not be difficult for them. Here, at the time of Casey's death, a worried Casey was sitting at her house. She was heating her food in the oven when she suddenly sees a pigeon flying and colliding with her window. She was seeing all this, and when the flame of the oven suddenly goes out, her attention is lost. She looks at the window again, and there was neither a dead pigeon nor was her window broken. Casey goes to the window to see the pigeon and opens the window, and the next moment, the flying pigeon comes and sits in front of her window. Casey's opening of the window saved the pigeon from dying, and with this incident, Casey understood that the future she sees can also change her. She was now regretting that she could have stopped her colleague's death, but she could not do that. She wanted to share all these things with Ben, so she leaves the house and comes to the metro station where we see that the Sims are already present. Because the hacker has told the Sims that the 3 girls who the Sims want to kill are in the metro station at this time. Here, anyone who was sitting in the train of these 3 girls sees the faces of these 3 girls and sees their faces. The man who killed these 3 girls in Casey's mind, the Sims now sees him coming from the front apartment of the train. He quickly picks up the 3 girls and takes them out of the train. As soon as they left, the girls could not understand what was going on. She sees the Sims in the train who are keeping an eye on these 3 girls. Casey tells these 3 that you 3 have to get out of this station soon. But these 3 do not listen to her and start calling people by making noise. Before anyone comes here, Casey shows these 3 a man in a suit like Spider-Man coming towards them. The man quickly moved towards, so Casey takes these 3 to a train, and now that man was also on this train. To save this man, Casey took these 3 out of the train and brought them to the ground floor. But she knew that the man was still behind her. She was about to take these 3 out of the metro station when the police officers caught her. Meanwhile, the Sims who was wearing a suit like Spider-Man also attacked these 3. When the police were stopping the Sims, Casey took advantage of the situation and took these 3 out of the metro station. Casey picks up a taxi as soon as she comes out so that she can take these 3 away from that man quickly. Finally, these people had come a long way from the Sims, but they did not know whether the danger was completely avoided or not. Casey asks these 3 their names, and while talking, someone finds out that the parents of these 3 girls are not in this city. They were saying that the news on the radio distracts them, where it was being told that the identity of the lady who kidnapped these 3 girls is Cassandra Webb. Now the Sims and the police were also behind them. But to escape all this situation, Casey takes these 3 girls to the jungles of Peru. Because there were no cameras in the jungle, the Sims hackers could not see the location of these 3 or the location of Casey's police. While running in the jungle, they find out that these 3 girls had met Casey once. These 3 girls question Casey that why did you bring us here? Then Casey tells them that I see the future, and I had seen your face here in the future. As soon as she said that, this girl named Maddie started laughing, but everyone ignores Maddie's laugh. Julia says that the man was walking on the roof like a spider. Casey's laughter had calmed someone's mind. Casey started remembering what was written in his mum's notes. So she says that she will be back in an hour, but don't even try to move from here for 3 hours. She goes home and opens her mum's notes. In this diary, it was written about the people of the spider tribe who we have seen in the past. Along with walking on the walls and roofs, they also had the power to see the future. Casey was also seeing the future. So she tries to climb the wall to see if she is also from the spider tribe, but she fails in this. In this suitcase, Casey sees a photo of Sims with his mom, and she also recognizes Sims that he is the same man who was going to kill these 3 girls. Those 3 girls were in the jungle at that time. They could not live in peace. They were starving to death. So they leave the jungle and go to a cafeteria nearby. As soon as they reach the cafeteria, the hacker of Sims finds out the location of the 3 girls. Casey came back to the jungle and sees that the 3 girls are missing. She follows the footprints and reaches a cafeteria where the 3 girls were dancing. She sees someone. These 3 girls apologize to someone. Before Casey leaves, she finds Sims wearing a spider suit. He had killed these 3 girls. He also killed Casey. Before Casey dies, everything suddenly ends. Casey was still standing in the jungle, and she understood that whatever she saw was going to happen in the future. These girls were in danger, and it was her duty to save them. She wanted to reach them as soon as possible, so she follows the footprints and reaches the cafeteria. Unfortunately, before Casey reaches there, Sims had already reached there. To save the girls, Casey broke the glass of the hotel and brought her car inside. She hits Sims with the car and starts to sit in the car. When Casey was about to leave after saving the 3 girls, Sims grabbed Casey's hand and injected his poison into Casey. Casey saved these 3 girls and left from there. But on the other hand, Sims's hacker informs him that Cassandra Webb, who is saving these 3 girls, is the daughter of Constance Webb. After hearing this, he lost his mind. Casey brought these 3 girls to a hotel, but they were not the parents of these 3 girls. She could not take such a big responsibility, so she decides to leave these 3 girls at the police station. But there was a problem in this too. Ania was living in New York. Her dad was already deported by the government, and if the police found out that Ania is here, then Ania will also be deported. So Casey allows her to stay in this hotel. After solving these 3 cases, Casey goes to the same cafe where Sims attacked her. As soon as he reaches there, Sims comes here while tracing the location. Sims tells Casey about himself and says that his name is Sims. I want to kill these 3 girls because in the near future, those girls will have superpowers, and as soon as they get the superpowers, they will kill me. I just want to kill them before they get the superpowers. As soon as he hears this, he opens his eyes and finds out that Casey was seeing all this in his dream. She did not go to any hotel. She was sleeping with these 3 girls. In the morning, Casey tells him about Sims. Why was he after these 3 girls? Casey says that you 3 have to be very careful and stay together. As long as you 3 are together, you will be safe. That man is very strange. He has the power to inject poison from his hand. As long as he holds any part of your body, he will keep injecting his poison inside you. As soon as the poison is injected, your heart will start beating. And if such a situation ever comes, you 3 can save your companions by giving CPR. That's why Casey teaches them CPR first. Along with CPR, she has also given many other useful trainings in difficult times. In simple words, she was preparing them to compete with Sims. Casey now tells these 3 girls that all the superpowers Sims has. My mom's research diary has written about them. Now, to get more information about Sims, I have to go to the forest of trees. You 3 have to take good care of yourself and stay together. Saying this, she leaves. Taking the map of her mom's stuff and the forest of trees, she reached the middle of the forest where she meets the leader of the spider tribe. Seeing her, he says, "Finally, you have come to ask your questions." The leader brings her to the pond in the cave where Casey was born and her mom Constance died. Seeing this place, Casey looks upset. She says to the leader, "I don't know why my mom put my life in danger to come to this place." The leader smiles and says, "To know all these stories, you will have to go to the time when you were born. Your story started before you were born." The leader now gives someone a shock and takes his soul out of his body. Casey's soul falls into the water of the pond and becomes a web of life for him. This web of life took him to the time when his mom went to the forest to find the spider. The web of life showed Casey everything in one go, from finding Constance's spider to shooting her, Casey's birth, and Constance's death. Seeing all this, Casey couldn't understand his story. That's why the web of life takes him back in time. When Casey's mum Constance came to meet the doctor had to tell Casey's mum that before Casey was born, she had a disease that there was no cure for. It was also possible that Casey would die as soon as she was born, and Casey's life was only 6 months. This news disturbed Constance and Casey's mum a lot. After hearing this truth, Casey starts crying, because he understood why his mum went to the forest right before his birth, by putting her life in danger. Until today, she is still angry with Constance and her mum that they put someone in danger for their passion, but it wasn't like that. Thinking this, her soul comes back to her body. She was still in shock that how did the leader do all this? She asks the same question. But the leader says that I didn't do all this, but I saw your powers, the powers that you are now beginning to realize. In response, she says, I only have the superpower. The leader says no. Seeing the future is the beginning of your superpowers. You can do a lot. With the help of Web of Life, you can be in 3 places at a time and save the lives of 3 people. Not only this, you also have the power to change the future. And no one gets this power. The leader says, you will realize all your superpowers when you face a difficult situation. The scenes cut and shift to the city where Sims is still angry about not being able to find out anything. It is known that before leaving, Casey had left those 3 girls at Ben's house. The 3 of them had not yet left Ben's house. But today, Ben's brother's wife was about to give birth to a baby. Her condition was getting worse. They did not have time to wait. So they left for the hospital with that woman. And as soon as they come in front of the cameras, they find out the location of the Sims. Casey, who had come to Ben's house to take the 3 girls, does not find anyone at Ben's house. So she goes to the past and sees that the 3 girls have gone to the hospital with Ben's sister-in-law, where the Sims had attacked them on the way. To save the lives of the 3, Casey steals the ambulance from here, while on the other hand, we see that the hacker of the Sims had screened all the signals of that road on which the 3 girls were on. Thus, they were saved from an accident. These 3 see that the Sims was standing outside the car. The Sims had a bomb in his hand. No, he wanted to kill the 3 girls with the bomb. Before he could destroy their car by dropping the bomb, Casey comes at the right time and hits him with his ambulance. And then the bomb in his hand explodes under another car. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Casey puts the 3 girls in the ambulance with him, while Ben asks his sister-in-law to take him to the hospital. The Sims had seen that the 3 girls were running in the ambulance. That's why he gets on top of the ambulance. Looking at this, Casey tells PJ that there will be an electric impulse machine there. Pick it up and put it on the roof. By doing this, the Sims standing above are badly hurt and he falls down. Casey comes and picks up the ambulance, but under an underpass, his ambulance had stopped. And now Casey finds out what was going to happen in the next 5 minutes with his future superpower. He remembers the leader's words that he can change the future. Thinking this, he uses the ambulance radio and using the medical emergency as an excuse, he calls a helicopter near a building. At this time, they were at a factory making firecrackers. Casey takes these 3 and enters the factory. And here, they start setting traps for the Sims. As soon as the Sims come behind them, they are trapped in the trap of firecrackers. One by one, many firecrackers burst there that the Sims had already noticed. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Casey came to the roof of this building with the 3 girls. Where the helicopter was about to come, he was trying to get the 3 girls safely in the helicopter and run away from here. But to fail Casey's plan, the Sims had come here. To distract him, Casey fights him, and these people climb on a billboard tower while fighting. Where the Sims had already caught Casey, he was holding Casey's throat and injecting the poison of his body into him. Casey was about to die. She was in trouble. These 3 girls could not see all this and come after her to save her life. But the Sims here easily fight these untrained 3 girls and throw them to 3 different places. Due to this attack, the 3 girls were trapped in such a place that there was only death near them. And seeing this, the Sims start laughing and says to Casey, "Now you go to 3 different places, and at the same time, how will you save these 3?" As soon as he said this, the leader whispered in someone's ears that if you want to save someone, then you can be in many places at one time. Realizing this, she uses her superpowers, and the music of Web of Life becomes a lot like her and reaches to save the 3 girls. Seeing this, the Sims were also worried. To stop Casey, he punches her, but Casey was not going to give up this time. She slowly takes the Sims to the place where she saw the face of the Sims in the future. As soon as she reaches that place, a big trap falls on the Sims in which she was trapped. Immediately after that, a very big billboard falls on her, and she dies. Finally, Casey saved all the 3 girls by killing their enemy. But the bad thing was that due to the fall of the billboard, Casey herself also fell into the water. Let's see that a light came out of Casey's body, and now she was sinking in the water. At this time, to save Casey, the 3 girls jump into the water. With great difficulty, the 3 girls pull Casey out of the water and bring her out. She saw that she had stopped breathing. In this way, they give her CPR in the way Casey was taught. As soon as she said this, Casey's heartbeat started again. She was finally conscious. But again, a bad news that Casey could not see. She could not see anything. She was blind. And her body was also paralyzed due to this accident. When I asked Casey about these 3 girls in the hospital, Casey said that these 3 are my family. Hearing this, these 3 are happy. This accident paralyzed Casey, but it also gave her all her superpowers. Surprised, Casey tells these 3 girls that I can't see anything now, but I can see the future clearly. I see all 3 of you fighting the enemies after getting power. You have so much power that you can't even imagine, and you are never losing to the enemies. She also shows these 3 a glimpse of the future, in which these 3 had superpowers and Casey was a medium. And by showing this glimpse of the future, this story ends here.